I think in the end it was a net win for everybody because it was the very first time that we addressed a very specific fossil fuel, and that's coal. And the issue a lot of people have with the final decision is the word compromise. You know, compromises were made, and this is very disappointing, but they were a step up, I believe, from what was going to be outright dissension from China, India, and other countries earlier in the conference. The phasing out of coal energy use and government subsidies for fossil fuels in general was enthusiastically embraced by almost all countries at the beginning of the conference, except for the aforementioned nations and Australia. Now, I spoke to one delegate from Australia who was deeply embarrassed, actually in tears, by her government stand resisting the elimination of fossil fuels. In fact, her emissions reduction minister, Angus Taylor, returned home with a week to go still in the summit, signaling that they weren't even interested in negotiating. But these countries were not alone in this unpopular position. Brazil, Russia, and Saudi Arabia were all trying to weaken the strongly worded text. As you mentioned earlier in the program, the word phasing out became phasing down in order to get them on board. Now, it's generally believed that many delegates I spoke to that these countries have no intention of phasing down their use of fossil fuels, in particular coal, as plans to build more coal mines continue in China, Australia, Brazil, Russia, India, and Turkey. Now, we talk a lot about China, but their stubborn stance on this is largely based on their impressive economic recovery from the pandemic, largely fueled, pardon the pun, by coal. This growth may be good for the Chinese economy, but bad for the planet as they currently contribute more than a quarter, I believe it's 28% of the world's CO2 emissions. But I only mention that to explain why they're doing this. They're not simply stubborn about it. It's part of their economic recovery program. So I feel that the compromises were necessary to get a global consensus for the Glasgow Climate Pact. They set a precedent to other nations who may still be tempted to bolster fossil fuel production for economic stability and growth. Allowing these dissenting nations to reduce rather than eliminate just opens the door to others to do the same, despite the commitments made in the pact.